Day 15. Went to the store again, and as you see here, I slowed it down. The social distancing, the lines, etc., etc. One of the things that came to my mind is that I've always said in the last 2 months of reporting on this is that don't panic. Well, I'm not panicking. I'm showing. Let's see. I've always been at level 1. Now I'm at a level 2. I'm showing some sort of not a deep concern, but I would call it a cautious concern. Yeah, let's call it that. Especially where the country I'm living at right now is that most businesses aren't open. The whole country is pretty much shut down from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. Okay, there hasn't been any crazy riots yet, but I suspect if this continues on and people don't get paid and don't go back to work, regardless of what the situation we may find ourselves in, it could get crazy. I suspect that just because of what's going on in the States. And another one is that there was some looting in Panama. Now, Panama hasn't been the hotbed of lootiness in the last 25, 30 years. Now we're seeing it. Why? Well, according to the sources that I have, is that they shut down pretty much everything except grocery stores, pharmacies, etc. Now, the government has provided some assistance, not like our $6 trillion of assistance to the American people. No, they don't have that money, even though their Balboa is pegged to the U.S. dollar, and they use the U.S. dollar down there. There is no quote-unquote unemployment insurance to speak of. Just take my word for it. It's not how you think it is. So, the government was handing out, I think they would call it castanettas, like baskets of food. But it's not like a whole lot for so a lot of times if you have like a family of 5, this basket isn't going to, go longer than, let's say, I don't know, a couple days. So there's this like a Walmart, if you want to. It's the best thing I could peg it to. It's called a Machetazo. I think it's a Cuban company, but it's a big grocery store, and they sell clothes and electronics and other stuff. Well, some people broke into it because they got mad, and the usual thing is to start looting, I guess. So you got that problem. It hasn't happened here in Ecuador yet. I haven't heard any reports of it. The military has been a calmness in what's going on. The police have been doing, their job to make sure people don't, violate curfew, who are not supposed to be out, et cetera, et cetera. They've set up checkpoints in the major thoroughfares into the city. The major outbreak of virus infections have been on the coast, which is Guayaquil, the biggest city on the coast, and that's what makes most of the infection. The I don't know what to call it a county, but the state that Quito is in is called Pichincha. They've had a lot too, but not as much as Guayaquil, and I think it's called the state of Guayas, or whatever the reason is. They've had more infections down there, and I can't explain why. Just the way it is. Just like, you could say why New York City, the big major population centers in the United States, have a lot of infections. Well, you can kind of sort of blame, Cuomo and the New York City council members and whatever, telling the people, yeah, man, go out and hug a Chinese or whatever, hug people and hang out and go out. This was like March 1st or 2nd. And then they had to sort of backtrack it, a couple weeks later, said, oh, yeah, by the way, everyone's locked down, city's locked down. can't imagine why you had a big outbreak when you told people to go out and, I don't know, swap bodily fluids, in Chinatown for some freaking reason. Whatever the case is, I suspect, and maybe it is, being cooped up in your house, for long periods of time. But I do suspect that it's going to get worse. That's why I have a cautious concern. Because I'm suspecting that once the economy tanks even further, especially for countries who don't really have a large industrial sector, who don't really export tons of stuff, but they do import some things, such as the country of Ecuador, they may find themselves in a prickly situation. I wish they wouldn't. I hope that cooler heads will prevail, and the government here and the people will kind of go, okay, look, let's not destroy stuff like we did in the riots of October of 2019, and kind of like paralyze the city for a long time. Let's cool our jets and go, okay, this is an extraordinary situation. Let's work together so we don't, as much as we possibly can, much like the United States is. But again, the United States is heavily armed. So when it comes down to, I suspect more violence, if it gets really, really dumb, the United States is going to look like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. I kid. But I think most people are going to go, you know what? Things are going to get better. Let's be calm. Let's be cool. And let's keep it frosty.